to conceive of KOL content is it stopped doing things like this increases your agility and it's just like more generic stuff, and it got better at like actually referencing KOL mechanics in it.
Which is weird. I wonder how that ability developed. Like, have they just not skimmed the wiki prior to that, or?
I don't know what the difference is between these different versions. Like, are they entirely different training models because they're, or are they like smaller toolkits?
Yeah, I don't know.
TES Duckstibber. This is an interesting question. How much RNG swing in items of the month is too much RNG swing? JOAT candy maps and mini kiwis are too fair. I don't know what JOAT candy maps are. Juggling on a train, candy maps, and mini kiwis are two fairly important things in current standard ascension that do not have pity timers and can stretch 11 plus combats. Can they both get a pity timer? I mean, usually we kind of rely on dev to tell us. Although the mini kiwi thing, I feel like kind of came. Where did that even come from?
And it was
It was recent.
Well, because it was.
Oh, it was an item of the month. It was an item of the month during the I hates everything about you. Right. Okay. You know, we tend to let dev tell us if something is going to be too. I mean, we have a sense of it. Like, we're not going to do something that's like just obviously unacceptable to everyone. There needs to be some randomness at the core of the game, right? I don't know. Chris, do you have a philosophy about that you could articulate?
I mean, I know that I generally err on things being more random and then negotiate with dev on making it less random. I mean, a lot of item of the month stuff, right? If it's like it drops a widget every so many turns, we have really leaned heavily on those are like timer or counter based. Probably 90% of items like those things happen on the timer just because they can be so swingy. I was just looking to see how the heck the kiwi works. That's in the MISC code, kiwi_lay kiwis. Let's see what that does. Oh, that is just random.
Huh.
Well, it's one through rolls a die, one through the denominator.
Hey everybody, it's Thursday night somewhere in July, and it's time for another episode of the Kingdom of Loving podcast. I'm Zach.
Kevin?
I'm Riff. I forgot what order we do it in.
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to.
I'm Chris.
Do we have a canonical order anymore? Because that was almost reverse alphabetical.
I don't know.
Yeah, or was that order that people joined the team? Who came first, Riff or Kevin?
It's counterclockwise.
What did
It's
you call
counterclockwise
yourself?
for me in the gallery.
Riff came first.
Okay, Riff, you should have jumped ahead.
Oh
Do you want to catch up a little bit before we get into the questions? What's going on, Chris? What's going on in your life since December 13th of 2023?
My son, my kids are 19. He tricked me into taking up golf again. I took 2 years of lessons in high school and played with my grandfather a couple times. And then my son was like, "Oh, I'm playing golf with my friends. It's a lot of fun. You should come." And next thing you know, I'm like, "I'm on Craigslist buying golf clubs." And I read 30 books so far this year. I like books. That's my life.
30 books.
Were all the books about golf? Yeah, that's
No, I haven't read any golf. I haven't sunk that low yet. But I have discovered, I was telling my family that the algorithm seems to know things like that have a lot of money invested in them. Like, I watched 1 or 2 reels about golf, and now all my reels on Instagram are about golf. But there's so many golf ads, golf programs, and golf clubs, and golf improvement tools. So they're just like, oh, this is a topic where we have a lot of ads. We're going to push it.
My ads have all
like, you
gone
what?
from middle-aged man chair yoga ads to like, will real trivially give you a prescription for Ozempic ads. That's all it's trying to. So I mean, basically, the internet just thinks I should lose some weight.
Ozempic isn't some sort of like athletic performance enhancer. It sounds like Olympics.
I wonder if it counts as a performance-enhancing drug. Are they allowed? There's no Olympic athlete has ever had any of the conditions that make it so you need Ozempic. I don't know. I guess there might be some diabetic archers. Gives them extra powers, like concentrated sugar crystal multi-shots. Riff, how's your December through August been?
Barely remembered. It's been fine. Nothing wild or weird. I've gotten back into painting little plastic guys again, and reading some books, and
You doing anything with the guys, or just painting them?
No, I've been I've been doing a lot of kit bashing, like assembling new guys out of bits of standardized guys, and making up little factions and science fiction stories about the world or the universe's dumbest bounty hunters and things like that. And I guess there are games that you could assemble those guys into a squad and use in the game, but I don't know. These are more of just little art sculptural guys, I guess.
Is there anything like a Gamma world of miniatures games where it's like miniatures warfare, but kind of anything goes, and you're encouraged to grab a rubber duck and glue it to a Optimus Prime or whatever?
The game I was thinking of just now is called. What is it called? I just woke up 20 minutes ago, and I'm still sort of booting my brain up. I can't think of the name of that game, but it is very it's not connected to any particular line of miniatures. It's just make whatever guys you want, and then it tells you how to set stats for those guys. So you basically could do that.
I always thought it would be cool if there was a sort of formal set of rules for doing miniatures battles with Legos, because then everybody can make scenery for them by just buying Legos.
I would be surprised if that didn't exist. I bet there's something like that on itch that somebody has made. There was that old, Clay Wars game that they had a pullout for in an old Dragon magazine using jars of Play-Doh as the standardized amount of clay you got, and you made a guy out of your Play-Doh, and however much Play-Doh you had left over you could use to make missiles and things like that. And that was a pretty good game.
I used to own maybe 30 issues of Dragon magazine, and now I have every issue of Dragon magazine as a PDF on my computer, and I spent a lot more time reading Dragon magazine when I had 30 of them and just flipped through the same 30 over and over again than I do now. And what I keep thinking is the reason that this is true is because there is no good device on which to read a magazine-sized PDF. And I just don't know if that's true or not. I bought one of those Microsoft Surface laptops because I went on a trip where I had to do a lot of work and I forgot to bring my computer. So I was like, okay, I'll buy something that works as a Windows machine so that I can at least do my job. And I thought, okay, I'll also get something that I can use as a PDF reader. But it's anything that you do with PDFs in Windows is still so sluggish that it just feels like shit to use.
The large sized of the iPad is pretty good for PDF. close. It's nearly 8.5 by 11. It's not quite magazine size, but it's close enough that it works.
And you can
some of it though is, are you ever on a device where you have all those magazines and nothing else that could distract you? Right?
Yeah, like am I ever at the but I was never at the dentist's office with my stack of Dragon magazines. I mean, I think the problem is mainly that I don't have the level of free time that I had when I was 15 and didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I would go to the
have
store and
anything
get that.
more interesting to read.
Yeah, you get the Dragon magazine, you go in your bedroom, and that's all you have other than the 5 other magazines that you already read every page of 10 times. Now you just have every possible thing in your pocket.
I'll bet if I looked at the PDFs of the ones that I had when I was a kid, I would just immediately think, oh yeah, I've never read this because it still looks boring to me about a particular article. Or, they would sometimes have supplements for like a superhero RPG or something that I just didn't care about at all. Kevin, you've got some big life changes since December.
I guess I looked at the calendar to see what, if anything, popped out. I made a horrible mistake. I've made a couple horrible mistakes, but I decided this year for the mystery hunt that I was just going to stay awake the whole time and actually push real hard to solve a bunch of puzzles. And my team won! Yay! So now we've been writing mystery hunts for the past year. I have basically done almost nothing. I've helped solve some puzzles. I haven't actually written anything. Because my other horrible mistake was that I bought a house, which I probably talked about on the last episode. And so I've just been all of my time has been spent renovating this house and making it a nice place instead of a hole.
The corner of it that I can see looks nice.
Yeah, I painted my office like a nice dark blue, and I love it. So
These dark colored walls, man, it's a rare choice.
Yeah, I mean we got thick, really thick trim everywhere. We painted that white when we painted the walls. By and large, we painted the walls pretty dark. And
you get more thick trim than an astronaut.
Yeah. Yep. And so it's been good. Almost done with the interior stuff, kind of. There's a lot of additional work that needs to be done.
I really want the kitchen at my house to be painted like Chinese restaurant red.
Yeah,
that's what color I want the walls. But my wife is not having it.
It'll make you hungrier while you're cooking.
Appalled by the idea. Do red walls make you hungrier? Is that's
the pop psychology thing I remember from high school. Yeah, I don't know if that's true at all.
What fast food restaurant is the most psyop doing things to manipulate the? It's got to be McDonald's, right? Yeah. What color are the walls at a McDonald's?
I think they're just
they change every couple decades. Again, they're very modern now, right?
When I imagine a McDonald's, all the walls are windows.
Just like a blue screen.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin's trip to San Diego got screwed up by the heartbleed, by CrowdStrike. What was the? Was there a name for that? Yeah, no, I was being funny. Is there a name for that bug yet, other than just the CrowdStrike bug? It's like the Kleenex bug. Their name has just come to mean any generic failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess now there's a lot of wood paneling. All the pictures I'm seeing.
The McDonald's? Yeah. It looks like a Starbucks looked 20 years ago.
I would love for every room in my house to have wainscoting up to waist level and then red damask velvet wallpaper above that.
This is all very doable. Having now spent a bunch of time working on houses, this is all things we can do.
Yeah, I suppose if I didn't have a family, I could make my layer look however I wanted my layer to look. But since it's not just me making these decisions, I suppose I could. They're almost done with the renovations downstairs. The stuff that was supposed to have been done for 3 months the last time we recorded a podcast, now supposed to have been done for 9 months. It still isn't. But I could paint my wood shop Chinese restaurant red, and then if I covered it with arterial spray, it would be like a pirate that wore a red shirt. My family wouldn't be as scared when they came down to pick me up to take me to the ER. But the flight that got canceled was you coming to San Diego to join my family and Roy's family on our San Diego trip, and you brought you purchased ahead of time the set of sauces from Hot Ones so that we could do the Hot Ones challenge, which we did, and I gotta say, all of those celebrities are cowards and weaklings.
We got all into it, and we were like, the last few were like, but fine.
And none of us are like people who seek out really spicy food or even prefer really spicy food or have cultivated a tolerance for it. And it was just like, this is hot, but it's not like.
Don't they change season to season? Like what?
This was the most recent seasons. So,
but in theory, if the Scoville count means anything, they're pretty similar.
Yeah, we did check, and they're like comparable to previous seasons.
I mean, I think they changed the sauces because they can make money from the sponsorships, but also it would be pretty silly of them to fundamentally change it, right? Like suddenly, Conan O'Brien is not competitive with, I don't know, who's an early Hot Ones caliber celebrity, Joe Rogan. I don't know if he was ever on it, but
Paul Rudd was a few years ago.
It was pretty, they were pretty spicy.
Yeah.
My wife got up to the 7th one out of 10, and I was expecting to crap out at 5. Yeah.
Anyway. We tossed the last couple because they were just painful and not tasty. But
nobody kept them. Everybody else, up to 7, everybody was like, this one's good enough to take home.
Yeah. I recommend it though. It's fun. It's a fun party event to make a bunch of wings and make them hot, and then see what people's reactions are. Ask them complicated questions about their life while they're eating chicken wings.
We didn't ask each other any questions.
See, that's what makes it so hot. It's actually the questions that cause all the sweating.
We've known each other for too long. There's no heat in any of our respective friendships anymore.
Ooh.
We're not going to learn anything new about one another just because of some spicy, painful butthole sauce or whatever they called it.
Speaking of questions, though,
you ready to stop talking about this?
No, I was just thinking it was an appropriate segue.
I got upset at myself because of my phone telling me how much time I was spending looking at TikTok, and so I decided to that instead of spending a couple hours a day watching 100 videos made by 100 random assholes, I would spend like an hour and a half a day watching a single video made by a filmmaker. So
I'm going to say by a single random asshole.
By a single asshole, yeah. They're not all. I'm sure that some filmmakers are not assholes. But I've been watching a movie every day this year, and so far have stuck to it. And so I haven't been playing very many video games as a result of it. Because it takes up a lot of discretionary time. The thing that I realized about spending 2 hours on TikTok is that you do it like a minute and a half at a time throughout the day when you have a minute, and you can't really watch a movie like that. I have watched this is the most disappointing thing that David Lynch has found out this year, is that I've watched several of those movies on my phone. So I haven't really watched them. And that joke is because he just announced that he has emphysema from smoking and he can't direct movies in person anymore.
What does that mean to not direct in person? Like, that seems like a weird copy.
He doesn't have the wind to walk around and talk to people all day.
So he can sit in a chair and direct remotely or something?
I don't know what the plan is exactly. But yeah, it's just I think it just lung capacity is diminished, and it's also more dangerous to get a respiratory infection. So
him as a telepresence robot, I think, is honestly going to make no difference. So I think it'll be fine.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen footage of him directing. I don't know that I've ever seen footage of anybody other than Stanley Kubrick directing a movie.
No, Christopher Nolan stuff, or...
No, I don't think so. I can't picture anyone else actively directing a movie than Kubrick, reflected in the windows of the Apollo. Absolutely. Okay, so it has been less time overall since the last time questions came in, and so there are a lot of very similar questions to last time. A lot of kind of copies of the same question. A lot of there weren't. I went through to see if there was anything like, oh, I should pin this to the top, but because so much of the last show we were just like, this is how it's been going for the last few years. The company's still in okay shape. We're still viable. Things are getting bleak in the indie games landscape again, but that just makes me glad that we don't have a publisher, and we don't have to pitch games to anybody other than Jesus, who then takes the wheel to determine whether the game is a success.
We don't have to give 30% of our income to yet another partner besides the
only Steam. Just the regular 30% that Steam absolutely deserves. We would be nothing without them.
Agreed.
If Steam was like, hey, we're taking 40% from now on, I'd be like, okay, still worth it.
We're going to take it all.
Yeah, we're just taking 100%. Okay, all right. I mean, there's not really anything I can do because, 0% of, or 100% of 0 is 0. 0% of 100 is also 0. So that's one of those laws of arithmetic. Friend Boy says, okay, 3 questions for us achievement hunters. 1, is any of the unfounded trophies unobtainable? Yes. There's still one trophy that you just isn't hooked up to anything, but it is, I think, maybe the only one that people don't know about. And then there's at least one that you can't get, right? Isn't there still? There's the Ascension trophy, and every few years we say, hey, we should make that an item that people have and just remove it from the trophy list, and then we don't do it. There's still like a jewelry crafting one. Chris, do you know?
Did we? Yeah, I don't know. I think that might be it.
Question number 2, can the pirate chest actually be opened? Well, I will tell you, if we ever decided to make it so you can open the sunken chest, we wouldn't tell you. If we had added some elaborate secret quest and series of hidden puzzles that would allow you to do it, we wouldn't tell you if that was true. 3, can I bribe you with $20 for tips on hidden trophy secrets in general? I can also brib with Antique F. I'm interested in this Antique F, but I don't know what it is. Patron saint of depravity writes, depravity? Got a headcanon. The necromancer is the naughty sorceress's dumbass college legacy son coasting on the family name. Would you be willing to confirm this as actual canon? It's as much canon as anything else regarding the necromancer. That's the second question about the necromancer.
Wait, the necromancer from West of Building?
The necromancer.
Necromancer. Nice.
Yeah. Somebody asked if the necromancer was, they must have misspelled it because okay, no, they didn't. They just referenced by wait a minute, was Renee C. Corman was not the necromancer. Who was Renee C. Corman?
Oh jeez.
It's in Zombie Slayer. He's referenced in
Skeleton Invasion, Zombie Slayer.
Is he the? Okay. Yeah, it was from Zombie Slayer. Okay, so clearly we don't know. It's not the same guy from West of Loathing. I don't think that was at least on purpose.
No.
He was
That
just
wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, how could a guy be in more than one thing?
Yeah.
The patron saint of depravity also asks, since you've done an avatar path for Ed, any consideration/interest for paths for the naughty sorceress, necromancer, Big Wisniewski, the man, King Ralph, Hodgman, Baron von Ratsworth, or other enemies like that? I don't know. People always want that. And in a lot of cases, we did Ed, right?
But we did it because we had a good idea of
We had a good idea for it.
Yeah.
And I do think that with something like the Naughty Sorceress, she wouldn't be as good a character if we wrote a bunch more about her.
Yeah.
I would argue, okay. I mean, I can't argue that she's not a beloved character, because she clearly is, but it's really a result of a less is more kind of thing in that particular case. There's nothing, every once in a while there will be something, there will be an avatar path idea that keeps coming up and getting rejected because it's we don't have time, or we don't know exactly what we would do think there are any of those still floating around. Like Pokefamiliar
That
was
was Susie, yeah.
that was brewing for a long time, and we never quite figured out how to make it happen. I don't think there are any other ideas like that now, are there?
I feel like we talked about Avatar of Hank a bunch of times.
Okay, yeah,
but
that's true.
Is that a
I mean,
path where
but
you
it's
just
like never. What does that
getting
mean?
your
Is it a
ass
guy
kicked?
yeah, slowly
You only-
losing parts of his body, has
Yeah.
access to everybody's stuff.
You only have access to other people's inventory.
You can bolt any item that you want. I mean, essentially, the evolution of that was the legacy of loathing path, where you could pull the old items or buy the old items. That's sort of how we ended up doing that kind of thing.
Thank you for doing all the work to make that one happen. That was cool, and it's a thing that I never would have. I don't think I ever would have gone to the effort of implementing the stuff that had to be implemented to.
Yeah, I think it turned out cool, I think. We just had to be picky about which items were available, though.
Hectic Shiver says, if asymmetric publications had a small homunculus on the team, and the homunculus always gave shockingly accurate predictions describing exactly what players want the most, would you tell anyone about its existence? Parentheses, it's an inhuman mythical creature. No, our policy is not to tell anyone about our homunculus. Also, the company is Asymmetric Games now. We moved to California and figured we needed a more showbiz friendly name.
Yeah, I mean, if we had one of those, I was trying to say, obviously we do everything that all you guys want perfectly, so I think you could conjecture about whether or not we have one of those.
There's, if we had one, the only thing it would be able to tell us is whether or not we were going to open the box that either has $50 or $50 billion in it. I don't actually remember how that thought experiment works. But that homunculus really will not shut up about it. Sweaty Bill writes, thanks for implementing name changes. I wonder who Sweaty Bill used to be. Actually, these questions don't get player names anymore. They just get whatever you submit. So maybe this is someone impersonating Sweaty Bill. Maybe this is Extra Dry Bill, who is envious of Sweaty Bill's sheen. A while back, you said that when the raffle stopped being used for items of the month, that we need to have new prizes if it returns to a standard rotation. That's a problem for Futures Chick. Any plans? Well, yes. The plan was to do nothing about it for like a year. Today I spindled and implemented some new second prizes because we have landed on a scheme for, in fact, here's another question. Anonymous writes, more and more items of the month are going extinct in the mall recently. Is there any possibility of a return of the item of the month raffle, but not connected to banned accounts, so that we can still have a chance to play with them? Although Anonymous is suggesting staking a Mr. Accessory against it, that would be weird, right? Like if what the raffle prize was the opportunity to spend a Mr. Accessory on,
Oh wow,
that old item of the month. There's a world in which we had that idea.
so that's like sidestepping the we won't sell these again by
It is, yeah, which in a way that I don't think I'm happy with. But yeah, we
You're
are
still
planning on putting.
In that case, you're still selling them. It's
You're
just
still selling it for Mr.
artificially limiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the thought behind it, because then it's then we're not giving away things that have intrinsic value or whatever. But
we won't sell this again unless we make it a real pain in the ass for you to get the opportunity to buy it.
I mean, I like what we've come up with, because I think it will be a real, honest to goodness meat sink that I think the game also needs. So it will serve two purposes at the same time.
Disco One writes, is there any hope for inflation to ever go down?
It's tough.
Do you think there have ever been
any games that have not had inflation?
Like a deflationary economy game.
I was just going to say, do you think there has ever been a sustained period where the Kingdom of Loathing economy was deflationary? Or has it just been we've done a better or worse job of controlling
the last time when we had the banned account items of the month, I think that stabilized things at least a little bit for a while. But part of the problem is also we keep, because of power creep, because we want to keep making cool new things, we keep pushing out the bleeding edge of what meat farming is, right? And so there's no opportunity cost for people to just farm a bunch of meat, right? That's just, if that's what you want to do, that is a very easy thing to do and to get a bunch of resources, right? So there's always going to be some inflationary pressure for sure.
I mean, I guess there's a graph of the other thing is, a lot of people look at the price of mystery accessories over time, and that is the entirety of their indicator of whether there's inflation or not, which I don't think is actually a particularly good one. I think the cost of staple goods, like say 90th percentile turn gen food in the mall, is probably a better indicator, at least over periods of time where what that consists of doesn't change. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe the only economy that matters is the old item of the month economy, and so Mr. A's are.
I think that
we could just turn off
economic.
I was just gonna say, make the joke that we could turn off new meat generation for a while by having all new meat generated in the kingdom actually just come from the richest player.
Yeah, people love that kind of thing. Yeah, we could put a penguin that whenever you run into it, it takes away 10% of your meat.
Is there an economic theory where deflation is generally considered good?
I think the idea is to manage inflation, right? I think every economy has inflation, and what you want to avoid is hyperinflation. That you don't want pre-World War II Germany or current real world Argentina or something.
You especially don't want the Kingdom of Loathing to turn into during World War II Germany.
That's true. Yeah, Argentina's having a lot of inflation problems. Maybe the problem is just Germans, right?
Yeah, where are the Germans? Where are the Germans at any given point? How about the corpse economy at the bottom of the Grand Canyon? Where else are there a lot of Germans?
That is a deep pull.
I don't know if they accumulate. I imagine. I don't know. Do you think? Okay, of all of the people who have died by falling into the Grand Canyon, in human history,
is the majority of them German? Is that your question? Is that what your question is?
I think in the modern era, unambiguously, yes.
Okay.
It's weirdly, as I understand it, that is weirdly consistent. But I was going to say, how many of those remains are still down there?
Oh.
I mean, it was probably all of them up to a certain point at which it became none of them.
Well, but isn't it it's not like the Mount Everest or whatever, where the bodies freeze and then are sort of protected. There's animals that will go and eat the corpses.
Well, okay, but I mean, I guess being eaten by a coyote counts as still being there, because you're. But not being removed
is still there.
Not being removed by a helicopter and then cremated. That is a different soul status. You no longer count as part of the Grand Canyon if that's what happens to you. So you no longer are a participant in the bottom of the Grand Canyon economy. So there must be times when the price of Mr. Accessories have gone down, right? But it really only matters. I mean, if we are still, I don't even know if we live in a world where someone can farm enough meat to buy a Mr. Accessory in a month.
I think currently it would be a push because the prices are particularly high.
But I don't know how many hundreds of millions of meat can you farm in a month? Is it hundreds of millions of meat?
I think it shouldn't be. It was tens of millions before. So, yeah, I mean, people come up with new methods, and the bleeding edge is really serious. curious, so it's possible. There's, it depends on what kind of arbitrage you've got too. Because if you're not farming like actual meat drops from the game, but you're farming the like player economy, then it's possible to do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I do wonder how much of that is there a greater difference? There is likely a greater difference now between optimal meat farming and like casual meat farming, right? Like, go and beat up what Yetis on the icy peak because they had a high base meat or whatever, right? Versus the area where you can farm stuff to sell in the mall for the most meat and use 30 turns of combat so all your familiars do random crap, right? Like, is there a
you farm on Barf Mountain to buy the stuff to make it so you can fight 50 embezzlers in a row for free or whatever sicko horse shit is happening there. So speaking of that, though, we did change, and then not to announce or anything, the sizes of all of the meat fields. Chris had a ping that said, beef up these meat fields, which we saw every few hours in Slack for 3.5 years? 3 years?
Every 24 hours.
I think I was
really
in this...
long.
I think I was in this office when I wrote it, and I've only been here for I've been here 5 years. So it must have been
like
a date.
18 months.
No, that's what you thought last time, and then when we looked at it, it was like twice as long as you thought it was. But anyway,
so 2.5 years.
You can now have more than however much meat you could have before in all of the places where meat can go.
One meat.
Yeah, by one. Yeah, you can have one more than that. We're using a much higher, a much larger capacity database integer type, but artificially
a much
constrained
larger value of 1
as a joke. So now you won't have the thing happen where if you have 4 billion meter, it was like 4 billion, right? It was whatever power of 2 is 4 billion and something. So if you have 4 billion meat and somebody sends you 4 billion meat, you will now have 8 billion meat instead of also 4 billion meat. But we have not yet. We have to figure out what we're going to do about current mall max price items because they cannot be purchased right now, right?
No, they can be. They just can't be searched. They don't show up in searches.
Oh, you can buy things at mall max?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and people in dev think that most of them have been found by people running bots to like find them in mall stores. They just don't show up in searches.
Anything that anybody would have bought, right? Was that like in the hopes that you'd find something that was for sale for 99 million meat that you could sell for more than 99 million meat? Also, is it 99 million or 999 million?
It's 999. It's just short of Philly.
Okay.
I think the idea was that's the price that if you do like dump a bunch of items in at the same time, that's the price they get. So they don't get listed in searches. So you have time to like set them to what you want.
That is a bad way of doing that. Like having a magic number price instead of just like a public field. Although then you get UI.
Or even that magic number price could have been 0. Right? Like.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you want people if you want to put something in the mall, you don't want it to be sniped by a bot at 0 meat.
Yeah, but you wouldn't allow them to buy it if it was 0 meat.
We just wouldn't let those be sold.
I see.
I mean, I think what we're going to do, right, is announce, not just on this podcast, that we're going to raise the mall price limit, give people, as I give people a couple of weeks, but I also feel like there's a bunch sitting there and players that like won't come back till Grimbo or whatever.
Why not?
You just like knock them all out of the mall.
You could do that, or you could just push it up to the item up to 999 billion.
Yeah, anything that's currently not. Yeah, if we just were like because 100 billion is surely high enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a better idea. Anything that's 999, 999, 999, we just add 3 nines to that.
11 nines.
Yeah, so that it's 999, 999. No, 9. No, it would. It would tick over. It would be 1,998,000,000. I don't know why I thought that would be a funnier number. If you just added.
we still going to have a limit?
What do you think?
Do we need a limit anymore?
I mean, I was going to say 100 billion. It's the limit is, what are people going to type in there that will break the
Display.
word wrap on the display? What we could do in that case is anything we could take a note from modern UI and just any number longer than like 4 digits just is the first 4 digits and then a dot. And that's how we display the prices. Like if you want to know the name of a song now, you're really screwed unless you just want to know the first 4 letters of the name of the song.
You have to mouse over them all individually.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for the tooltip.
Seraph III writes, is there any interest in reviving old path rewards, like creating a way to spend karma to unlock old path rewards? As a second question, when's the next Mr. Store back item? There is no way of predicting when the next Mr. Store back item is going to be. Whenever we are trying to come up with an item of the month and the last back item is about to go out of standard, or it is revealed that the last back item sucks, or we have a
or Kevin comes up with a great back pun.
Yeah, a back-related pun. Old path rewards that is a weird space. Like, I feel like that's a question that comes up.
General bottom, the back. Yeah. There we go. It's gonna be good.
Okay.
So it's just like a general patent that lives on your back.
Yeah,
like a little Yoda or a master blaster.
Yeah.
Orders you around, gives you commands.
Yeah.
Helps you with strategy.
Runs you around the woods.
It's not terrible, really.
Is it just a man? Is it just an old army man?
Maybe he's the opposite of that guy from the circus in West of Loathing, and he just has 2 backs instead of 2 fronts, and he's the origin of the phrase "the beast with 2 backs."
Somebody told him to go screw himself.
Yeah.
There's a new there's a store in my neighborhood that I don't like the name of.
Cool.
These old path rewards. So we're really inconsistent.
Yeah. We basically stopped doing that.
We tended to not do path rewards because we don't want to have to answer the question of do these keep dropping after. But why? So why did we ever make a path reward stop dropping after the path was current?
Because we wanted to
like this is
playing the path.
Yeah.
Right?
That was the only thing
we wanted it to
doing
be
the path
special.
in season.
Yeah. I guess that does create this class of thing that you can only have gotten if you were around at the time.
Right, but then we started making them cool instead of just souvenirs, and so they became things that were useful or desirable. I don't.
Except for the quantum of familiar, which is
yeah,
neither desirable nor useful.
We figured out what that was going to do, and then we just didn't do it. It was something in one of the paths, like part of the path design was, and this is what quantum of familiars do, or some event or something.
I think it was the last event. Yeah, like Crimbo. It was the event that led up to Crimbo. Like 3.5 years ago. They'll do something new. You use them to open a second chest.
Rob P says, "Is there any plan to make older content more easily accessible to newer players? Legacy of Loathing is nice, but quite a few old items of the month have gone mall extinct in the last month. That's weird. I wonder why."
Well, I'm wondering if this is part of the crazy inflation, right? Like maybe there is some sort of new secret meat exploit that we're not aware of.
If you know about one, tell us.
Yeah. We did the last one that really got out of hand. We did manage to sink more meat than it generated with the last Raffle House thing with that guy's stuff. So that was kind of nice, actually, in terms of poetic justice, I guess. But imagine if we had just done that without having had to have been robbed of all that meat in the first place. I really want to increase the mall sale limit before we start, maybe putting hand turkeys in the raffle house.
Yeah, and I think with the plan where we just bump up the prices of things at mall maximum, that just means we can just do it probably August 16th or 17th. After the challenge path that's out.
Oh, after the challenge path, I see it. Here's a question, though. I don't know which items KGB, right? The Kremlin's greatest briefcase thing. I feel like somebody said recently that became a thing that you just can't get anymore. If we increase the mall price limit, how many of them go back into the economy? Like, it can't be that many.
Yeah, it's probably non-zero, but it's not
but it's
many.
probably not. It's probably not dozens. It's probably some.
Well, it's anything that exists in the economy that has a value of more than $1 billion, right? That's the current conundrum, and there's probably hundreds of items of individual players' inventories, right? Like not
that if they're still around and paying attention.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, because they're available if people are in chat, right? Like that's how things are being sold now. Then I mean, who knows? There's probably some sort of external website where people are selling things for more than $1 billion, like a Craigslist sort of situation. That's right. When I need to spend $1 billion, I go to Craigslist.
Yeah, I don't know how. Oh, something else that we did was we straightened up the forums a lot.
Yeah.
Since the last time we did this, I archived and made read-only almost all of the forums, and so now I no longer get mad when I go and look at the list of forums, and there's all this stuff that I don't know what any of the words mean.
I was just looking. I was distracted. So the KGB briefcase comes from the suspicious package, and there are hundreds sitting in inventories or banks or closets that are just not in the mall. Not thousands, but hundreds. It's a question of, are they in the account of anybody that'll be like, oh, I can put this in the mall now for 1.5 billion or whatever.
Yeah, like how many people are sitting there? I mean, maybe it wasn't that long ago. Right?
I mean, we could honestly, we do this mall change and then we like promote on social media. Hey, if you're an old account and you have a bunch of stuff, now's the time to cash out.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a newsletter, right? A newsletter might help with that.
It's true.
We set up a whole server just the newsletter.
Oh, yeah, we did. But that's also for all of the future ZapCons that we're going to be sending email. Kitten Paw says, hello, thank you for years of enjoyable podcasts. Could you please continue the tradition? Yeah, so our plan, as it stands now, is to do one of these every year at Christmas, and then also do one every summer after we have added a level to the time twitching tower. Just so that there's sort of a larger scale world event every year besides Christmas, and then so that there's a couple of podcasts.
And that does not preclude us doing other world events. That would just be one we would be planning on, as opposed to ones that happen randomly when we get excited by something. Skeletons, usually.
That is usually what gets me excited. Artie says, hey, I haven't seen any of your podcasts, so I might ask something that has been asked. What made you create Kingdom of Loathing? Like, where'd the idea come from? Well, I feel like I had spent a lot of time sort of ruminating on a video game that was a series of, it was sort of like a text adventure and sort of like a MUD, in the sense that it was like a series of interconnected nodes that were just described textually, and you went to the nodes and you could click, select options in the nodes, and then it would do stuff that wasn't just story, but that made numbers go up and down.
Legend of the Red Dragon on the old.
Yeah, that that kind of thing, but with more going on in it, and not PvP focused. I had learned how to make web database apps, and that's kind of what I was doing for a living. And I guess I wasn't doing it for a living when I don't know. I made a game that was very PvP heavy, and I didn't ever promote it or tell anyone about it. But then I played this game called Dragon Court, which was basically an MMO, but in the structure of a door game, like an old BBS door game. And then I thought, okay, well, if this exists, I could make something, and it would be funny if I made it funny. And then there would be a lot of content if I put a lot of content in it, and it would be a single player thing. And the art, I had made this card game a few years earlier, and I was like, hey Roy, I made this card game, and I just did like sketches of what the cards look like. Do you want to illustrate these cards? And he was like, I think you should actually just do a better job of illustrating them in that style, because that's cool and looks funny, and people will like it. Whatever. You're just too lazy to do a bunch of art for me for free. This was I think the 90s, and so largely no one just felt that they deserved a full-time salary for doing unprompted creative work. Way that I feel like is not necessarily true now, but so yeah. I mean, I just made it thing, and I spent a week on it. I was like, I don't want to lose interest in this because I think it's a fun idea. So I vowed to release it and tell people about it after a week of working on it, and so that was what it consisted of at launch. And then the rest is a history that's been told a lot of times. I wish there was like a canonical version of it. I should probably write that down at some point in a book, and then give the book to posterity. Oh, did my Wizard book come out since the last podcast?
Oh yeah.
It had been written like because I wrote it in Nano-Fembro, but I hadn't finished editing it and getting it published. But yeah, I wrote that Wizard Choose Your Own Adventure book. It is available.
I got a copy on my shelf, but I haven't read it yet because it's made out of paper, and I have a hard time reading books made out of paper these days because
so the 30 books you've read were all on your
ebooks.
Oh wow.
Actually, I bought a Kobo to replace my really, really, really old Kindle.
Nice. Kobo's pretty good. That's what I use.
What's a Kobo?
I've never heard of it.
It's just another e-reader maker they bought or owned by Rakuten or whatever, but the like library integration, the Overdrive/Libby integration is unlike the Kindle. They actually promote it, so like I've been saving a whole bunch of money because half the books I just get from the library for free, and then have to read within 14 days. But yeah, I used to take a hard paper book with me on planes because it was easier when they're like, turn off your devices. Now they're just like, they don't care about the ebook readers or the phones, so now I don't even read paper books on planes.
Yeah, and more planes have like gate-to-gate Wi-Fi too. That's getting real nice. I find for whatever reason that because I got prescribed Valium for my flight anxiety, and for whatever reason, taking Valium and then getting on a plane and getting scared by the plane evens me out to the exact point I need to be at to just focus on work really intensely. So I just get so much work done on airplanes now that I haven't watched a movie or tried to read a book on an airplane in years. I need to do is start taking Valium every day and then having a guy come around to like menace me. Can maintain that level of productivity all the time. Nobody ever got in trouble by using drugs for work. I had the opposite experience. Like when I last year, my project for last year was I need to start reading books again, and I read more books than I'd read in probably the 10 or 15 years prior to that, but every single one of them was a physical book. Like, that was the only way that I was able to get back into actually reading, was by having a book on the nightstand. Sekubub Shellpan says, do you have any plans for more challenge paths in the future? If so, what are they? No, we're not going to do anymore. Nomad says, hi, big fan of y'all and the Loathing games in general. With Kingdom of Loathing getting close to its 25th anniversary, do you guys have any big plans to celebrate? No, we're terrible at observing dates like that.
When
20 years.
Wasn't it just 20?
Yeah, it was just 20 last January, so it'll be in 3.5 years. Will be the 25th.
Oh, we'll remember that.
That's just about enough time to convert all of KOL into Swole.
You know what? Somebody actually asked about that. Denonline says, would you ever, or Denonline, Denonly Northeast, would you ever consider making a Shadows Over Loathing / West of Loathing kind of game based on the main story of Kingdom of Loathing? You know, this is a thing that Kevin pitched. It was like, it'd be easy. All the content already exists. But Riff and I were like, no. It would be harder than making something new, because nothing in Kingdom of Loathing is structured like anything in the Swole games. Like, there aren't any areas that you explore. Like Spooky Raven Manor, I guess. Like 10, 12 zones, however many zones it is.
Because the
I know there
comments
was
for a lot of the text lives in KOL, and that's the one place where there isn't a ton of text in Swole games. So I guess that is fair that, like, it's fundamentally different. You basically have to write an entire new game that you just have a vague sort of outline of to make KOL in Swole.
I mean, you would sort of know, you know, like, we would know how to make a Cobb's Knob set of laws or walking around areas, because we know what all the rooms are in there, because that's like a complex of zones, and we could figure out what we could make up what the enemies were based on that stuff. But mechanically, like, the stuff that you were doing would just have to be fundamentally different, because, like, there's no such thing as, like, a drawer you can open and find something in it by clicking on it in KOL. And
I mean, there is in Spooky Raven.
Yeah.
There's one book you can click on a shelf to open it. Didn't we get rid of that?
Yeah, that is every non-combat encounter, if we wanted to include it, would have to be converted into, like, a thing that's in the room that you can click on or something like that.
I just think you could not convert it one for one. It would be a skeleton of the ideas, and then just, does that say that much work?
Yeah, realistic.
Or is it more work to try and stick to all the key, well thought out canonical information presented in the Kingdom of Loathing?
Yeah, we should probably do, like, some sort of, like, Republic of Loathing instead. Some sort of evolution from monarchies. You have to go save the Prime Minister or something.
Sad Oatcake says, throwback to pre-2015. What is the joke reference for the "your mother would be proud" chow mein consumption messages? I don't know.
Isn't it just finishing your food? Finishing the meal?
There are no chow mein items anymore. So I don't know what, I mean, maybe they mean pre-2015 because that went away in 2015. Like, that was when we did the pasta revamp, right? Around that time. I know I remember what whiteboard it was on, and it was when we were in the back room of the Campo Santo office. So it was towards the end of Firewatch development, not towards the beginning of Firewatch development. Is it just that you eat the chow mein, your mother would be so proud? It's possible that just wasn't a joke.
Have you searched your name or your business lately? If you have negative online content harming your reputation,
Please release the digital version of Shadows Over Loathing for PS5. I have a digital-only console and I've been dying to play. Would also love West of Loathing on PS5 someday, but not too sure how possible this is.
and then I had a bunch of like house stuff to take care of, and so I just sort of forgot about it, and then I had a hard time getting back into it. So it's my fault, basically. I also need to help Victor, who's been
Yeah, it's been a real program intensive. Also, we have an intern who's last many years, and yeah, and he's principally being managed by. So that's
It's coming, right? Like he said, would you please release it?
oh yeah,
And we will.
Yeah, is there
Real soon.
porting less floating will be trickier, but not impossible. I mean, it'll be easier than it was. Well, it'll be easier in some ways than it was to get shadows on there because we had to go through
just getting recognized by Sony.
a year and a half to just exist as an entity in Sony's eyes.
Yeah, that was I probably said this before, but like we literally were like in limbo for I think 3 or 4 months because I had submitted a form and it had basically LLC instead of it became space LLC, and like these two don't match. So we're just gonna throw this whole thing out and start over. It was ridiculous.
I don't know if it's any better now. Everyone said that, yeah, this is bad. It's bad for everyone who didn't already have a relationship with Sony 5 years ago. And it's also this bad at Microsoft and Nintendo and everywhere else if you didn't already have a relationship with them because everyone in those roles just forgot to do their jobs. Like it was when people quit, yeah. Like I feel like a lot of the reason it wasn't bad at Sony in years past was because Nick Sutton was handling it, and then once he wasn't there anymore, I mean, he's like one of those sort of like 10x effective guys that you just can't. You'd have to replace him with 5 people to
5-2X class.
Yeah, 5-2X guys to be as good at whatever his job was, and so like that there's. The anomaly was how easy it was before, not how hard it is now, I guess. But it really was. That onboarding was really just a nightmare. I imagine that's a challenging thing to deal with because you're dealing with relatively on the ball established companies from several people like us, but also just some kid who doesn't speak English and is developing a solo game, and all these pathways have to be resistant to all of the problems of every individual demographic that you're dealing with, and it's also probably really fraught with fraud. Like there's a lot of people trying to just get the ability to publish trash to make a little bit of money before it gets removed, that kind of stuff. It's not an easy problem. Rob wrote, any chance to plan VIP lounge key can be added to Mr. Store on a yearly rotation like the tiny costume wardrobe, or alternatively, once a year can get a clan VIP lounge item in addition to the normal monthly item of the month. I actually like that in addition to the normal item of the month idea a lot.
Yeah.
Because that way we could do a clan, we can have a clan VIP item that we're just working on in the background until it's done, and then once a year do that.
I like that idea.
And then the keys get back into the rotation, which is important. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it is good for the game to have the keys in there. It makes us some money to do it, but not enough to offset the amount of money that we don't make when the item becomes a client item. And so having it in there as an additional thing is actually makes a ton of sense. We must have thought of that before and just didn't do it.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thanks, Rob. Credit to Rob. You know what? 10% of the money that we make from every clan item, I will write a check to Rob, and I'll leave it at the Safeway across the street. Chris B says, when are you releasing the KOL board game? I feel pretty confident in saying that we are never going to get involved in any commercial board game project.
Because there's a kid card game.
Yeah, you just gotta find a copy. It's released.
Kid card game.
Unless you live in Europe, in which case yours just never arrived. Because they ran out of money. Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah, we never got paid for it.
Yeah, we didn't get paid for the licensing, so that all that did was make us look bad.
Yeah.
The game was okay.
Yeah,
I didn't like the game.
5.9.
I think the game was good on Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
Out of what? Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Yeah, it's really D plus. Although who knows with modern grade inflation.
2019 or whatever, right? Like, the only reason that seems like this cool exclusive content is because it was, right? Like if those things were not limited time and exclusive, I don't know they would, like the Sleazy Back Alley, you wouldn't care about them. But you always have the time pushing tower levels and Crimbo to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the game's done.
Yeah, I mean, World of Warcraft has largely moved away from doing like time-limited events, right? Like they pivoted to like these kind of repeated holiday things because they couldn't put anything that anybody wanted in anything that was temporary because people would, be upset about it later. And I don't like that. Like I want there to be MMOs that are worldy, even if it's at the expense of them being gamey.
Can you get one of the like Entourage bug mounts in World of Warcraft, or are those still like extremely?
I know I saw a couple days ago somebody on one of them and then somebody commenting that they hadn't seen one of those in a long time. I'm guessing there are like reskins of it that you can get in some way, but
because I remember that being like one of those things that like 5 people on a server might get, right? And like it's just this cool weird cosmetic thing, but like people will hate the game forever because they can't be the one to have it.
So some of this guy's other questions. Improve standard access for newer players. What if all current subscribers got access to all in-standard items of the month in runs under standard restrictions, but they evaporate after breaking Prism, like in Legacy of Loathing? Right now, it requires owning 3 years of items of the month to complete.
That assumes that every item of the month is essentially relevant.
Yeah, it's necessary.
But I hear that point, but man, that would be a massive change to the way that we approach everything.
Yeah, and it's like we're at the stage in the game's life where the thing you need is just dramatically the existing players. Like we can't recover from it's been creeping back up.
Yeah,
I think that money has. I don't know about. I never really pay attention to that player count over time. Chris, something that I wanted to remember to have you do before this show was because we talked about. I listened to the previous podcast to see like, okay, is there anything that I can learn from this for the next show? Because I had a lot of time between when we were supposed to do this show and then after everyone. Kevin and I were supposed to be in the same room, but we couldn't because right after I posted that tweet about how nobody's allowed to get COVID, my entire family got COVID, other than me. I was going to have you, Chris, do a query that was how many runs had been done in each challenge path in the last, I don't know, what did I say? Like in the last 2 years or whatever. To see like
rank which challenge paths are the most.
Yeah, just to see like how popular are old challenge paths now, as opposed to how many runs were done in them in total. Because I feel like the variation in them would be dwarfed by like how many people were ascending actively in the early.
Wait, from the last 30 days, did you say?
Oh well, I don't know. That's not going to be enough data. I was like, do the query. And see, also, it's just going to be numbers, so we're going to have to look up what number the challenge path is. Unless there's a table for challenge path names now. Did that ever get into the database?
Yeah. I don't know if it's comprehensive or not, but... Wait, what do you want to know? The total number? What was
just like the number of runs that have been done in each path in the past year, say.
Okay.
Just to see like what old paths do people do. I mean, this is gonna be skewed by whatever paths are good for farming.
Yeah.
But Frezazel also wrote, the items of the month in the current standard are some of the highest power items of the month that have ever been released. Do you worry that the standard experience between longtime subscribers and free-to-play players has diverged too much? We have never really cared about free-to-play players being competitive in Ascension, right? Like, you, in the era where we tried to maintain, I mean, I don't know that we even tried to maintain this. It was nice that if you were farming meat, you could get a Mr. A each month, and so then you'd have the items of the month. But you can't like do that while you're competitively ascending. You know, you'd have to.
You could run a couple of ascensions.
Yeah.
Path or whatever.
Yeah, but it's never been. I mean, the items of the month being powerful are not. They're not powerful because like they make the game more fun. They're powerful in the sense like unless you're talking about a level of power other than ascension speed, which is just the only level of power that we're accustomed to anybody ever caring about. And it's, I'm not worried about people who don't buy items of the month if it takes them a week to ascend instead of 2 days to ascend. Like, I want it to take a week to ascend.
Like, you tried to slow down ascension a bunch with a lot of the early revamps, right? Like we never really wanted one-day ascensions to be a thing.
Yeah, that always represented kind of a failure case. He's asking about meat sinks, which I mean, I think the Raffle House will for a little while be another good one here, and I'm actively working on making that happen soon. Also, this is an interesting question from him. KOL has been at its best when it surprises us with wacky new things. Have you had any ideas that you were really excited about, but it turned out that it wasn't possible to add them to the game? I don't think so. At this point, we don't have ideas for things that are so far out of the scope of what's possible in our infrastructure. You know, there are times. I guess like there are things that I'm surprised are possible that Chris can do with like CSS wizardry, like the snowballs. Like, can we have like a physics engine running on some cosmetic stuff in there? Like, I would never. I would
really gotta do something to fix those.
Yeah, we couldn't do it with anything that was important, right? Like, we couldn't make an asteroids game that played using the physics engine that gave you meat based on your score, because we have no way of doing any kind of client-side validation, right? But that doesn't mean we couldn't make a little asteroids game that was just for fun. You know, like a big multi-person at the same time clan dungeon boss fight is hard to do in any meaningful way. I really wanted to do and we spent some time working on a PvP revamp where, not real time in the sense of just like what people mean when they say real time, but like you were fighting another player as though you were fighting a monster, and they were using skills against you and you were using skills against them, and we spent a bunch of time on that. And that was, Xenophobe getting fed up with that is kind of why he quit, because he just didn't like the idea of it, didn't want to do it. But then we tried a little more, and we did a bunch of stuff to support it, and it just like never really worked right. But that wasn't, I don't know. I say I wasn't that excited about it, but I probably just like gotten over being excited about it because so many years have passed. How's that query?
Okay, I think I got your community service dwarfs everything.
Huh.
So that's gotta just be, that is because it's like
Farming.
automated.
Click.
It's an automated farming path, right? Because that's the one where it's just like you don't do any of the quests. You just
Yeah, what is... my table's not... What's path 48? 48.
That'll be
Legacy uploading. That is legacy uploading.
So that was just the path.
So, yeah, community service, 37,000. Standard, 31,000. Path 31, 22,000. I don't know what that is. No path.
More community service runs in center. That sucks. We gotta do something about that.
And then older paths that are popular. Ad is the most popular older path. A lot of was a Shrunken Adventure MI. That was pretty recent, right? Yeah. Community service, that's got to be, because you can finish it in 100 turns and then do your farming.
Yeah.
Or you also can get stuff from doing that run that are valuable.
What is path 31?
We should stop one day old path runs. We should just treat them the way we treat casual. You can still do them if you want to do them and have fun, but you just can't do them.
Yeah. So live, ascend, repeat is another one. That was a crazy idea.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah.
Is there an optimal farming?
What other insights can we glean from this query? Chris, what other insights can we glean from this query?
We've made 44 challenge guides so far. That's fun.
Yeah, it's just of the old one. I mean, no path still. I mean, it's 1/3 as popular standard. This was Shrunken was in the past year, so it's just Warcraft Professor was not very popular. What is the oldest popular?
If you're doing a 2-year window or whatever, then it has had less time to play as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so it's the past year. I mean, community service by far dominates, and then standard, and then whatever 32 is.
That is low-key summer.
Oh, that's weird. Wonder why that one would be popular.
Wait, no. Isn't that Kingdom of Exploding?
That's 30, according to... Well, okay, I don't know. Maybe the numbers in the wiki don't match the in-game.
Oh, wait, here we go. 30, 32, I believe, is Pocket Familiars. That would make sense. People want to see
that would make
content.
sense. People would want to play that. Yeah, everybody would want to do at least one of those to see what it was like. Yeah,
because that one was a boatload of work.
Oh, because that's the number of the...
Yeah, they start at 5 or something, right? Because there is booze,
right? Okay.
Food, oxy. 22 is standard every year, so there's this weird, yeah.
Okay.
Well, fellas, I need to take off, so I think that is going to have to do it for the old podcast here. Thanks for chatting and answering questions with me for a couple hours.
Yeah, sure. Fun. Let's do it again in 5 or 6 months.
Okay. Anybody have anything they want to say to the player base? Riff, do you want to tell them that they're super stupid?
I will tell them that I eventually remembered the name of that game I was trying to think of.
What was it?
It was Starfield.
Yeah.
Or something. Shoot, I may have forgotten it again.
That may or may not be the name of it.
Star Grave. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Trophy 145 is totally not available right now. Don't try to go crazy looking for it.
But do submit a question for next December's podcast, asking us about it again, and we will say, "Oh man, we really ought to do something about that." That's true. Do also submit a question in 5 months about how great it has been to have 5 months worth of old items of the month in the raffle house.
And your comments about how cool how disappointing the Quantum of Familiar final usage was mid-October.
Until then, keep your toilet in the refrigerator and keep unboxing your steak knives.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
this remote, but you're not going to be able to tell the hot stuff from home because of the technology. In fact, check this out. I'm going to reach over and punch hot stuff in the stomach right now. Oh! Wow, that was really loud on the Skype.
Yeah.
I mean, in my ear.
Real life.
Shit. How you guys been doing?
I think
they
you should just
did the doing.
Hey,
just record a soundboard of me, and you could just I won't even need to be around for the shows anymore. I can just say like I'll just record like 100 stupid jokes and maybe break them up into parts, and then you can just like at random hit 3 buttons, and I'll be like,
I could just record a loop of me laughing, and you won't need me at all.
well, no, because that I do need you because I look at your track to figure out where the funny bits are to use as the bumps for video games hot dog. I see where you what do you call it?
Laugh
Clip. Or come close to clipping if you're laughing. Great clips. They're great clips, Riff. And that points out where the great clips are.
Oh, see?
also Payless shoes.
I'm like a comedy canary.
Sure. Like Tweety Bird.
Yeah, sure.
He's kind of a comedy canary. So yeah, we worked a bunch. It took me a couple days to get my legs back after there was that period of time leading up to the first where at one point I had worked 20 out of the previous 28 hours and then 30 out of 48. That was pretty good. Some people have to do this all the time. If I worked at EA, it would be like that for months at a time.